Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. It is my great honor to welcome the National Hispanic Caucus of State Legislators for a very important discussion that is as much as anything about our shared commitment to lifting up all people of our nation, to recognizing the challenges that people in general are facing, but that specific communities are facing, and in particular we will have a lengthy discussion about the challenges and the opportunities that are presented by our administration's priorities for the Latino community, for the Hispanic community, as an extension of what benefits the entire country. I want to thank you all for your work. I and the President both have a background in local and state government. We fully appreciate, and I fully appreciate, that we can do a lot here in Washington, D.C., outside of this building and at the Capitol, but then it requires the leadership on the ground, and that is all of you who make it real. And you all have presided over and have had responsibilities in your roles of leadership during some of the most difficult times in our country, in particular during the last 2 years of the pandemic, and all the challenges it has presented for your constituents. And yet you have stood strong with courage and with a commitment to representing the people who in their times of greatest need have relied on you for support. So part of our meeting today is to thank you. I will say, as a point of personal privilege, as a proud daughter of California, there are many of the issues that you all are working on as an organization that are issues I've worked on my entire career. And I look forward to talking about that. And also our shared goals, not only in terms of the work we've done over the course of the last year and more, but going forward. And so that includes our shared goals of strengthening our economy and the creation of jobs. You all know of the work that we did early last year in passing the American Rescue Plan to bring relief to working people and to our small businesses. Part of our agenda has been, in a personal area of focus for me, uplifting our small businesses. And we know when we're looking at Hispanic-owned small businesses around the country, they are part of the economic lifeblood and strength of our nation. When we look at the work that we have done to get $12 billion, we did it when I was in the Senate. Your Senator Cory Gupta was helpful in that. To the community banks, to the CDFIs, as a way to strengthen our ability to uplift community-based business leaders who often are rejected or are not given access to capital by the traditional banks. And so we've been doing that work together. Together we are doing the work of focusing on what we must do to support homeowners, understanding, and we just did an event yesterday to highlight the fact that of home appraisers, only 5% of people who do the professional work of appraising the value of a home for sale, only 5% of that entire population of skilled professionals are people of color. And so what we have found is that, in particular, Black and Latino homeowners are having their homes appraised undervalued because of what we all recognize can be racial bias in the system. So our administration announced what we will do as it relates in particular to the federal connection to this around loans and around contracts, to make sure that we are acknowledging this issue and doing what we must to train and to make sure that there is an appropriate understanding of how this bias, conscious or unconscious, can impact intergenerational wealth among communities. But this is the work that we are doing together. The work we are doing together is about understanding that we need to address the reality of the fact that it's really expensive to live for so many working families. We refer to that as the cost of living. And so what can we do collectively together to bring down the cost of living? Things like affordable child care. Our administration believes working families shouldn't pay more than 7% of their income in child care. Elder care. We know in so many communities, including the communities represented by this organization, there's a great sense of responsibility to take care of our elders. And in many households, we see intergenerational households. So we're talking about the affordability or lack of childcare coexistent with what must happen in terms of elder care. And so this has been an area of high focus for our administration to bring down that cost. Prescription medication. We know in this community that is represented in many ways by this organization, although this organization represents all communities, but what we need to do to address things like the fact that so many of our families who are experiencing an issue like diabetes find it almost unimaginable and unachievable to be able to afford insulin. And what we should do, and it's part of our administration's intention, to bring down the cost of prescription drugs, including insulin, where we say that no family should spend more than, and no individual should spend more than $35 a month on that medication, which will save the life of the person who has diabetes. So this is some of the work that we are doing together, including what we must do to fix our broken immigration system. As everyone here knows, it was, I think, the first act of the president and our administration to put a bill on the floor, well, essentially, to send a bill to Congress, requiring and demanding that we have a pathway for citizenship, with a particular emphasis on what we must do for our dreamers, what we must do in terms of TPS, farm workers, essential workers. And sadly, we've not seen any movement in Congress on that issue, but together we will continue to fight for that, knowing it is the right thing to do, knowing that it will be in the best interest of so many issues that impact families, individuals, and our society, including our economy. So we will continue to talk about that and how we can work together. And I'll just close my comments so that we can have our conversation by again thanking each of you for the work you do. I think that there are moments like this that really reveal the commitment that especially elected representatives have when in a time of crisis they continue to do the work with a sense of optimism about what is possible, but clear-eyed about the challenges that we must confront. So thank you all very much. I look forward to our discussions. Thank you.